Okay, if you're not a theater nerd, please keep scrolling. I'm going to go into this whole long diatribe about how I want to leave the theater ceremoniously, but I keep getting drawn back. And I keep thinking about that little boy I was in college training as an actor, and now I'm here in New York in the big city doing all the things and trying to make a name for myself. I started out doing like, small little things. Got to some bigger stages, festival work, and then I was doing work behind the scenes, directing, writing, choreography, producing, all of the things. And the phone just kept ringing. Actually, it was the email. And I was feeling myself, and I got into opera a little bit, went back to acting to, sharpen my skills, supporting other artists, all the things that I want to do. I really like working with new work, developing new plays. Found a safe space in that. Had a couple of cult-like moments, but writing is always my jam, and I love it. And right now I'm working on a piece that I'm specifically writing for actors who I've met over the past couple of years. But let's talk about some of the best plays I've read and seen. A lot of this is going to take place at Playwrights Horizons. And there's a couple of reasons why a lot of this will take place at Playwrights Horizons. A, you can volunteer as an usher there. I'm not going to gatekeep that. I'm also a Dramatists Guild member. They have a Playwrights Welcome, so I get free tickets that way. I used to be a theater critic when I first moved to New York, but white people kind of ruined that for me. Anyway, I've always been a straight play girly, not a musical theater girly, but because I dance, I've always gravitated towards musical theater because I can move well, an actor who moves well, or used to be. Anyway, this play right here, it was starring David Hyde Pierce, who's a tremendous actor, and I was obsessed with the content, and I was obsessed with the staging and the set. So I did some research into the theater company. This was the first play that I saw when I moved to New York, and it seemed like they produce a lot of Ivy League playwrights, which I did not go to an Ivy League. I did not go to Yale, but recently they changed out their photos to more of the modern plays that have done things, and A Strange Loop was my favorite thing, which I'll go into a little bit later. But let's start with this past year, the best plays I've seen. Teeth was definitely a big one. Speaking of Michael R. Jackson, who is a genius, I really loved the choreography by Raja Feather Kelly, and I'm a big horror fan, so that was good. I love that they had a little art shop out in the lobby. Another piece I loved at PH was School Pictures. It was a short 60-minute play. They did this series of plays that actually went over very well. We love a short theater moment. That piece and this piece, Staff Meal, both came out of Philly, which is a very avant-garde place where I did all of my training, and I really love that they highlighted some work that was outside of this Ivy League canon. So I actually went on stage and took a picture from the audience just to get the feeling. So another avant-garde kind of style work that I love was This Invasive Species, which was also avant-garde. I think it started off a Friends show, and the cast was immaculate. It was about acting and what that can do to you. Lempicka, great sets, great singing, great costumes, great choreography, although I don't think people were voguing in Russia in 1910, but Raja Feather Kelly ate with the choreo again, and then she went and did this play. I love this piece so much. I'm sorry to be a fanboy, a standboy, whatever you want to call me, but I love the mixing of theater and dance into one thing, and it was very restrained. The Outsiders, they did a colorblind casting. Of course, they love the black trauma porn, so they gave the character who got beat up by the police to the black guy. Roundabout. They're the only ones who are like consistent with the Playwrights Welcome for a Dramatists Guild member, which is great. This play was a two-hander about assisted suicide, and I loved it. I'm still processing how much I loved Here We Are by Sondheim, his last opus, etc., even though they had a black character who didn't get to sing. But we're not going to talk about that, are we? I read a lot of good plays this past year. Anatomy of Suicide, I would love to direct. And I just like the way that the playwright put the words on the page in a new way. Also, I read this old 80s play called Eastern Standard, which I would love to direct. It's very rare I want to direct something. My favorite play on the page, though, is probably Slave Play. I know it's very controversial, and it's now in London, and they're having the same issues with, like, when you go see it with an all-white audience, it's a different experience if you see it with an all-black audience, and it causes a lot of controversy. It's satire. I loved it. I think it was a really good way to just look at how we can put plays on the page in a new way. So I did get to meet Jeremy last year in 2023 for the Yale Prize that we all as playwrights want to have, even if we didn't go to Yale. And I love this play. This cast was immaculate. I did get to see the presentation at the Flea. It was directed well, but I was spoiled with that stage reading cast, so I didn't enjoy it as much as I thought I would. 2023 was a great year for theater as well. I finally got on the Brandon Jacob Jenkins train. What a Black King. Great ensemble play with demons in it, and really good director's play. Stereophonic was amazing. It was nice to see Playwrights Horizons do something that was a little bit more BTS and out of the box. I've also discovered Robert O'Hara a couple years back, and this was the best play that I read this year. But before that, Booty Candy kind of changed my life. I've watched a lot of these plays at the New York Library of Performing Arts archive, so not all of these I have the playbills for, but I do watch a lot of plays online at the library, and this was one of my favorites. Mankind I watched this year. Log Cabin was, I think it came out in 2017 or 18. It was very controversial kind of situational play with a trans actor. Jesse Tyler Ferguson could do no wrong, so much so that I wrote him into a screenplay of mine. It's a horror screenplay in which he's the killer. But in 2018-19, we saw the resurgence of, gay theater and more Black things happening in theater. Joe Mantello is one of my favorite directors. He also directed Here We Are, and he does a lot of stuff for TV and film. So I was obsessed with this play for the direction. 2019, we started to see more Black queer stuff on stage. This is a great piece about an African man who is not allowed to be gay. Then I discovered Donya R. Love in 2019, and 2-in-1's probably one of the most beautiful, most conceptually brilliant plays. And then, of course, we had A Strange Loop that got nominated for all those awards. And then this strange little virus started going around in 2020, I think, and I had a couple more shows. I was getting calls. I didn't have to send out any submissions, and I was doing all this stuff, and then the whole world shut down, and trying to find people to collaborate with became more difficult. So I went to Paris for artist residency and shoved myself into the contemporary dance and performance art scene, even though I was heavily weighed down the fact that I came to New York to be a writer, and writing is what I love, and so many doors being closed in my face made me start to think about that little boy in high school and college who just wanted to be Eddie Murphy because I was obsessed with Saturday Night Live. But we got back into the theater, we got back into ushering, and we got back into seeing stuff, and we even spent some time at Marie Crisis screaming show tunes with the musical theater nerds. But last year I saw Raja Feather Kelly again doing her big one with some more choreo, and it reminded me of the type of work that I wanted to do, and this was a great show, and I got to take a snapshot of this cutie afterwards. So I just been thinking about all of the plays that have inspired me over the past couple of years since I've been to New York. And what I need to do to keep going. This was a great piece. Drew is doing great things still in the theater. You might know her from her Chloe Sevigny satire. We need more plays about sports. I would love that. And I would love to see more David Alan Grier on stage because he's a great stage actor. So right now, I'm just regrouping. I'm looking at all the things that I love and trying to think of what I can do to keep going. But also, France is calling.